Representative Zooey Zephyr.
Happy Pride, Helena! It is such an absolute joy to be here with you tonight. And not only to celebrate Pride here in Helena, which is the space that I first came out as myself 6 or 7 years ago at this point, but to be at a Pride that marks the end of a summer of Pride here in Montana. For many years, as many of you know, Montana Pride was a rotating Pride from one city to one city to one city. And that has shifted in the last few years. And it shifted for a very important reason. The people who target us, who want to see us eradicated, like to pretend that we are not in their backyards, that we are not in the communities that they are a part of. But as we've seen from Pride this year, whether it was up in Libby, Anaconda, Butte, Big Sky, Billings, on and on and on to here in the capital of Helena, queer people are everywhere in this state. And we show up at each of these prides, I've spoken at half a dozen or so myself, to remind folks that despite the hate, they cannot make us go away. And I want to talk about why we fight in all of these spaces. You know, I have been blessed to travel the country, to talk to federal officials and representatives from blue states, and every now and then you'll hear a refrain. You'll hear them say, well, why don't you move somewhere? Why don't you head off to Washington or California? Why not go there? Wouldn't you feel safer? And so what I say to them is, even if the J.D. Vances of the world, the Ron DeSantis of the world, even if they got their wish and they could snap their fingers and we all disappeared, a sort of gay rapture, if you will, queer people would show up again the very next day. Because we are not just in your communities, we are part of what it means to be a community. And on the flip side, there's another reason we fight in all these spaces. Because even if on the inverse, even if every queer person in this state, in this country, across the globe, could move somewhere in which they felt perfectly accepted and cared for, the spaces they left would have queer people in them again the very next day. This is why we show up.